for people just to have that conversation. It may be sometimes it's a conversation that starts really, really small. I have a lot of people that I'll meet with. Maybe it's just one person and their husband isn't there or their kids aren't there, but they're the ones that have taken up the mantle for the family to make a plan and figure this out so that their family doesn't have to go through the unknowns of figuring out what to do when someone dies. So let's just say I'm sitting with this lady and she's telling me that her husband didn't want to come. He doesn't like to talk about this kind of stuff. And this is probably going to freak my kids out. They don't like to talk about death. They don't like the idea of me being gone. And of course, those are all normal reactions. And she says, how do I even talk to them about this? How do I bridge this gap in communication? And sometimes one of the easiest things for me to pass along to folks, and I don't know if you like music like I do, sometimes I'll catch myself in a car on a road trip with family or friends, and we're listening to the radio, or maybe we've made a playlist and there's certain songs that come on. And I don't know if you've ever played this game or if you've ever had this thought, but occasionally a song will come on the radio and you're like, oh my God, I love this song. And it may be a song that you want played at your funeral or that you would consider having played at your funeral. And if you're trying to have a conversation with someone in that car while you're riding along about death, just say it. Say, oh my gosh, I love this song so much. Don't you? You're like, yes, I love this song. It's so sweet. It makes me think of you, Mom. Will you play it at my funeral? That's a segue moment. And there's a lot of those. It can be with flowers. It can be with music. It can be with people. It can be with food. There's a lot of very common things in our lives that we can tie into what you want when death occurs. You know, I love to play the game with friends. If you could have anyone in the world, living or dead, perform a song at your funeral, who would it be and what's the song? And that really gets, and I mean, I do not have an answer for that question, and I don't expect you or anybody else to. Some people may, but there's just little ways that we can gently, nudge up against somebody and have these conversations without going, I'm going to die and this is what I want to do. You're going to put me in this red velvet sweater and it's in the closet. There's a list. It tells you everything to do. Like, that's not fun. Nobody wants to hear that. But let's talk about Bryan Adams and your favorite song and what we're playing at the funeral. Now, I can get into that. There's
Summer
just
69. Let's go.
I mean, come on. So there's just a lot of different little ways that you can, and that's the most common thing that I give people to kind of break the ice on having the conversation about death and loss and navigating that. Some people may open up to you and be very into the idea about, oh, I'm getting all my plans in order so that if anything happens before I go on this trip to Europe for a month, you kids know exactly where everything in my house is, and it can be easy like that, right? You know, and those are all very important things that we should do as adults and as people that have people that we care for, that we're leaving things behind for, and sometimes we're leaving things behind for them, and sometimes we leave a mess when we don't have this conversation and we don't plan.